Hey everyone, let's go ahead and start talking about the ideas that are presented in the Schmidt and Cohen and the Stein, Cooler, and Williams article. I'm a little bit under the weather, so if I have to clear my throat or drink some water, I apologize. But I like the topic of virtual communities. I think virtual communities, selfishly, my dissertation is looking at Twitch.tv and the virtual communities that are associated with that. And I'll be looking over here in my notes, I have a bunch of them. But as we talk about virtual communities, I think one of the more interesting components of it is this notion that over time, with the addition of new communication technologies and the advancements of technology, what we find is that we have the ability to really come together, collaborate, and use that for a pro social benefit. But in certain circumstances where individuals need to protest, communication technologies provide us with a new avenue that maybe we weren't otherwise able to get to, right? So think about the idea that early on with the advancements and adoption of technologies, that we weren't really able to protest, that individuals who were separated by different ages and demographics like that were not able to come together and talk about a single cause or a single idea. But with changes on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and other platforms, they become these constructive vehicles in which we can expose corruption. We can talk about the issues that we are faced with today and how it is that we can unify, regardless of where we are, who we look like internationally within these virtual communities. How is it that we can come together and really fight off cause? At the same time, some of the issues that we talk about is this notion of a crackdown. Schmidt and Cohen talk about a crackdown like the Tiananmen Square. Individuals who are able to actually come together for the same cause, for the same topic. And at the same time, we talk about some of the positive consequences when we talk about the Arab revolutions, is that women in particular were able to play a much more integral role expressing themselves on social networking. We know within that specific culture, women were not able to express themselves in a traditional face to face setting. So when we move into an online platform and an online virtual community, what happens is that individuals are able to finally express themselves. They're finally able to talk about issues and dilemmas that they're faced with in a way that is conducive and helpful to their own cause. Now, when we look at the concepts brought on by the Stein, Kugel, and Williams article, we start talking about the idea that individuals are starting to use communication technologies in these virtual communities as third places, right? And so we start to conceptualize this idea of a third place. It's a place such as a park or a coffee shop, even an adult beverage dispensary like a bar. And these third places help us in a way because we're able to unite with like minded people and talk about issues that are important to us. And we start thinking about these virtual communities and these third places online and how they start to look and feel. For example, we start to go ahead and move into these third places like the Oldenburg's idea of a neutral ground, or this idea that these third places are where individuals are free to come and go as they please with little to no obligation. They're not entangled, they're not connected, they're not forced to hang out with other participants, which is similar to this idea of accessibility and accommodation. The notion that third places must be easy to access and that they are accommodating to those who frequent them. So when we talk about third places, what we see is that individuals online have these different online communities that they're able to come and go as they please. They don't feel a sense of forced obligation, but over time what we see is that games like massively multiplayer online RPGs, MMOs, individuals, again, not forced to stay within that community, want to stay in that community. They want to continue to frequent. Their obligation starts to become a little bit more bolstered as they feel connected to those other people. So when we're talking about that, we look at this in terms of the workplace and the home, right? We don't have these specific obligations, but at the same time, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are exposed to those different individuals. We talk about the idea of bonding versus bridging social capital, and we know that right off the bat, bridging social capital is something that is present and it's sort of fleeting in a lot of ways. But over time, the exposure to different ideas and different notions, these third places become really attuned to our daily habits. We look at the way that we use technology now with our smartphones, going on Facebook and Twitter, and we hop onto these third places, right? We don't have to go, we don't have to check on them, Lady Gaga and her little monsters, but we choose to, right? And the opting into a certain behavior is very conducive and helpful to what it is that we start to tack on during our daily behaviors. Again, We look at these third places as this sort of informal sociability. We could go outside and try to meet people. Hey, do you have this idea, this thought of mine in common? Oh, you also like watching this particular video or this game, or you're really interested in this artist. Oh, cool. But we also know that there are limitations with that. We walk up to a random person on the street. Hey, do you like this thing? No, you don't. Okay. Hey, you over there with the green shirt. Do you like this thing? No, you don't. Ah, you? No, you. Of course you don't. And it becomes problematic. It's very tiring to try to find people like-minded face to face. So when we talk about the virtual communities, right? We have these third places that are easily accessible. Let's say I like a video game. I can simply go online and find an online community that likes this video game. It's much more efficient if we're talking about the time commitment, and I'm able to find these individuals, right? And there is this social element to it. Yes, we're not maybe meeting and talking and smiling, and we don't have the haptics, we don't have the touch that we do in maybe more traditional relationships. But that doesn't mean that we're not meeting and satisfying the same gratifications. If I'm looking to be entertained within a community, I can become entertained online just like I could face to face. Instead of going to someone's house in someone's basement, the prototypical example, and playing a video game with them, I can instead hop on the video game online, put on a headset, and talk to them and experience the same gratification. Just like the social element to it. We look at all these online communities, fitness communities in particular, the ones that I always think of when it comes to Instagram and Twitter. And instead of actually going and having a meetup face to face with a bunch of people that share the same interests with the fitness community, I think of an example like Tone It Up or Beachbody Fitness, hashtag Fitspo. We could theoretically meet all these people face to face, but that requires a lot of coordination. Instead, what I can do is I can create a profile or an avatar in some of these online communities, and I can become very much acquainted with these individuals. I can post my own fitness goals and expertise, and over time, people will become acclimated to that virtual community. So again, overall, all of these ideas are very interesting. I love third places. I love the notion of third places. Some of us go to these coffee shops, these parks every day, and we become so acquainted to these individuals. We don't feel a sense of obligation to stay there, but we like going there. We know the people. It's very simple. It's like the sentiment where everyone knows your name. Well, where everyone knows your name face to face, we have that online as well. So just food for thought. Hopefully that sparks some interest to you. Maybe you like Schmidt and Cohen talking about protesting. Maybe you like a little bit lighthearted and we talk about bridging versus bonding social capital. Either way, hopefully it's exciting for you.